Well, hello and welcome to all of our viewers around the world. I'm Fiona Langsharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and MC here at Gold Learning. We're back once again talking about our Gold Lactation Online Conference 2025. It is literally just round the corner as we record this portion with Leslie here today. It is in fact just going to be happening this week. We're going to be kicking off our Gold Lactation event. So I think go and head over to the website right now, goldlactation.com. Check out all the details and definitely come and join us for our opening keynote with Angela Lober, who's going to be with us. It's going to be live and free content. You don't want to miss it. I know Leslie's going to be catching up with us there too, which is going to be fabulous. Leslie Kowalski, welcome back to Gold. It's so good to have you here today.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. Thank you for inviting me back again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a little bit of a buzz in the air with your presentation because not only is it fabulous content, it's what the people want, I always say, but not only that, it's going to be a 90-minute workshop, lots of interaction. I think there's quite a few videos in there as well. But the videos really make up a large portion of the content based on the fact that you really wanted to showcase some of the things that are happening in the field. So let's talk about the topic. I know everyone wants to know, what are we talking about? Well, Leslie's going to be talking about sucking exercises to manage sucking dysfunction. So that is a huge topic, as we know, and I know that you are up for the challenge and wanted to take this on. But let's talk about the topic. Why is this topic, do you think, so popular? It always is, here at Gold, everybody wants to go to these sessions. They want to know more about sucking dysfunction, and what it looks like. Why has it become so popular?
I think, for me, it's because as IBCLCs, as clinical level lactation healthcare providers, we're very often, we're mostly seeing babies that are having issues. So, of course, I sometimes have those magical visits where, we just fix the latch and everything's amazing, but way more often the baby has something going on. Sometimes it's, just that they need a little bit of time. They've just been born, and they just need a little bit of help. But sometimes they have tongue ties or lip ties. But very often they have some kind of dysfunction that they need help with. And and as IBCLCs, we have many tools that we can use to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so interesting because I think from outsiders looking in, we talk about it's just breastfeeding, quote unquote. And so just attach the baby to the breast. And like you said, that's really more of it's an anomaly for us because we are professionals that deal with problems. So when clients come to us, it's not because generally, they don't have any. They come because they want to resolve issues that are happening, and we come up with the solutions. Now, years and years ago, Leslie, and I'm sure this is similar for you, when I started in the field of lactation, this really wasn't a thing either, and we really were sort of doing more what we would look at now as more basic care. So is this something that has started to happen? Was it always there? Like, how did we evolve to this point now where we are looking at these complex issues that happen in dysfunction? When did it all sort of start to transpire into this area?
For me, as I started off as a La Leche League leader, and we did talk about some suck training, even back then.
Right.
And so, but I don't think that it was particularly sophisticated in its approach. And it wasn't until I started to take, some of the more higher level trainings came out by a
Mm-hmm.
variety of fantastic IBCLCs in the field, that more nuanced and targeted
Right.
exercises really came into being.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the same as you, I started off as a Lesh League leader. And I wonder now, did those parents who, maybe we couldn't address it or we didn't have the sophistication as we have today, did they just kind of drop off? Were they the ones that just ended up not being able to breastfeed, long term successfully, or whatever it was. And I think the answer, I think there's maybe two parts, and maybe you'll agree or disagree with this, but I think there's two parts to that. I think yes, the help has become more sophisticated. I think IBCLCs are at the forefront of, what's happening in the field, which is, that's why we all keep showing up, especially here in education. But also I feel some of the research has really shifted as well, which is really important, because for the longest time, people were saying, why would you need to do research in this area? It's, physiologically, it's normal. But we know now, with this nuanced things happening and babies in utero, I mean, there's all sorts of things that happen, Leslie. So we've got more research, right? That's one of the big things that we have.
Mhm. And yeah, I completely agree. And I think just going back to, um, what we were talking about earlier, that with La Leche League, you really are seeing people who are coming for the most part, basic level support. So we were, of course, able, La Leche League leaders are able to help people all the time. And I
Hmm.
think, especially when it comes to like the stuff I was saying earlier, like, oh, we're just going to work with the latch and, baby wearing and, all those amazing things that La Leche League leaders still do every
Right.
day. And then with the research, I think it's much more common now. And with the rise in the number of IBCLCs, I do think it's becoming more common to refer people out when there is something more challenging going on. And like, uh, I think like any biological phenomenon, there is always going to be research, so we
Yeah,
can talk about that with, um, heart function or lung function and,
sure.
same with lactation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. One of the other things that I wanted to just ask you a little bit about, maybe you can give us a bit of a teaser, but what can people expect, to be looking at? Because I kind of have a little bit of inside scoop here, but what can we anticipate that we're going to be learning, especially from the videos? Did you learn new things as well? I always ask that question because I think, diving into the topic is always very exciting. So tell me a little bit about, what's happening in your presentation.
Sure. I'm starting by just talking about what are we looking for when we're looking for a baby to have good feeding function. What would be red flags that would indicate issues? And then from there, I get into the various exercises. So I start with what I call my basic set of exercises. Can a baby bring their tongue forward, side to side? Can they cup? Can they use their tongue in a wave-like motion? And in general, I find if babies can do that basic set, they usually have pretty good function as well. And then the talk, um, so I start there and I talk about the reflexes and the different things that we're using to elicit those basic functions, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then I move more into, well, okay, so now we might have a baby that is very particularly having trouble with, let's say, extension of the tongue. And then, okay, so we've noticed that they're able to do that function, but not this one. And so
Hmm.
how can we target on to helping that particular function, whether we're using oral motor toys or teethers or maybe some vibration or, so some different tools that we have at our disposal to help the baby manage those skills that they might have trouble with. And then, of course, also what kind of referrals we may
Yeah.
need to help as well. So if a baby, may need an SLP or may need a body worker
Hmm.
or a tie release or, so there are a lot of things that babies may need, and we act as the general contractor to kind of help with all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so with all of that, you have woven all the way through. You're not just lecturing us, but you have, integrated a lot of videos that really look at all of those
Hmm.
issues from the very beginning, the exercises, how to elicit, certain aspects of an infant, when you're working with them. And I think this is imperative. I think this is one of the things that I particularly love, and I've been doing this a long time, but I do not, I love your presentation for that, because it really helps me with my checks and balances. I feel feel like I've, learned again, So it's very inspiring. Leslie, you are inspiring, so thank you,
Oh,
because I
thank
know,
you.
yeah, all the videos, there's a lot of work that you put into this, and all the videos that you put together from your clients, and which is really wonderful, very generous of them as well to give us, their time and their babies,
Yes, yes.
to see all of that. So we get to really dive into sort of being with you. I feel like, for a day, in that sense, that we're going to see all of these things as well. Before we wrap this up, tell me, did you discover new things as you were creating and doing this as well?
I did. I mean, I often find, my patients, well, obviously my colleagues who I, learned so much from, and then my patients further that
Right.
by they discover things. So there are times where a parent is working with their baby and they discover a new way to work with their baby, and then I learn from
Right.
that. It's
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
I love that too. I
Yeah.
think that, we're in a full circle at this time
Mhm.
in our careers as IBCLCs, how we collaborate with our families, and we collaborate in the community. And it's this whole village, as we work together on teams, and we know that this is part of the course now and part of the actionable items that we need to take. So that is wonderful. I thank you so much again for being here.
Thank
And
you.
I know for folks listening in, you just got like just a little synopsis of what's to come, but do come and join us for Leslie's workshop. It's 90 minutes long. You can check out all the details on the website right now at goldlactation.com. And of course, you want to find all the other free content that we have coming up for this year's conference 2025. I can't believe we're here, Leslie, but I am so excited. A lot of work to get here, of course, a lot of planning, and we appreciate that from you. We'll look forward to seeing all of our viewers there. And thank you so much once again for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye for now, everyone.
Bye.